Assalamu alaikum. Barcelona 1, Real Sociedad 2. And to be honest, I'm surprised with this result. And not just me, but I feel like everybody should be surprised because it's Barcelona. And they just signed on a loan deal Joao Cancelo, who is also a good fullback if you know how to use them, and also if he is locked in depending on the match. But anyways, that's not why I was confident this game. Not about Joao Cancelo, but I was confident that Barcelona was going to get this deal done because if you guys think about any team that could beat Barcelona, I don't see any La Liga team that could beat them. Yes, Barcelona can have off days, which is, for example, this game where you could clearly tell how much of a big piece Raphinha is to the team. They had Yamal, they had Pedri, they had Lewandowski, Ferran, they had Eric Garcia in the back. But Raphinha is really a different beast. And ever since that last season, you guys can see every time that Raphinha misses a match how much Barcelona struggles to finish their chances. Because if you look at this game, the only chances or the only, I guess, bad thing that Barcelona couldn't do is their finishing. They couldn't finish. They had a lot of chances, and I'm sure they had more chances than Real Sociedad. They had more of the ball possession, so obviously Barcelona was dominating on paper, and the way they were forming themselves, the way they were following the tactics, the way they were pushing the ball, they were pressing, everything was going well for Barcelona besides finishing. And who is up there with them that's missing? That is Raphinha. So honestly, Barcelona played a really good game. Real Sociedad played a better game at finishing. They played a better game at countering. They played a better game at being patient. And that is one of the biggest, I guess, downfalls of Barcelona, or the biggest weakness of Barcelona, is when a team plays that low block, but at the same time they play that low block and are very patient and waiting for their chance. Real Sociedad did that already last year, and they're doing it again this year. And it honestly makes sense, right? Like I said, before the game, it didn't make sense. But before I get into like my specifics and all that, I did want to say that I was watching at the same time the Senegal versus Morocco final for the AFCON. And honestly, that was an intense game, to be honest. But something I was not a fan of, by the way, congrats to Senegal for winning. But something I was not a fan of is the way they were ready to forfeit the match, or I don't know what they were going to do after the penalty was awarded to Morocco. And I feel like that threw off the whole vibes. That threw off like everything. Everybody was just saying, come on, what is this? Like, just play the game, you know? Like, if it was not a penalty, then okay, leave it up to the fans. But you do your part and just play the game. But that threw off the whole vibes. I don't know why Brahim Diaz tried to Panenka that shot, but whatever. Senegal won. I was rooting for Morocco. I'm not deeply like invested into the competition, but I'm starting to get into it. And yeah, honestly, I was like watching on both my monitors, Barcelona game, Senegal game against Morocco, and it was just entertaining. Both matches were entertaining. You could see Barcelona was more of survival, right? One team trying to survive and another team is trying to hunt, being Barcelona is trying to hunt predators or the preys, if I'm not mistaken. And then you can see this game where Morocco and Senegal were just going head-to-head throughout the entire 90 minutes and extra time. So, yeah, I was not really focused as much in the Barcelona game, but I did see the majority of it. And I could tell that Barcelona had a way better game. And we could dive into the statistics real quick, just so we could, like, act all nerdy, right? So if you look at it, right, ball position 73. Barcelona dominated on that aspect. They had higher expected goals, way more shots than them, and way more big chances than them. They just couldn't finish. And obviously the offsides that were given after they scored, like, what, I think it was 3 goals, 2 goals. Nothing was going Barcelona's way this game. And if you guys think about it, it happens to the best of us. It happens to a lot of our teams, a lot of our players, where things just don't go your way. For example, Kunte's header, where it didn't go his way, almost finished to the side of the net. Like, this game was not written for Barcelona to win. But I did want to speak about specifically why this team cannot succeed if Raphinha is not playing. Because we could clearly tell, like, if you look at the lineup as well, I'm sure they had good ratings, right? They all had good ratings, and the only reason why they're not above a 7 is because they didn't win the game. Like I said, a team that wins the game, especially in FUTMOB, they boost up their ratings. And it makes sense, right? Losers, you don't get no boost. Obviously, before I get into Raphinha, lamineyamal, the best player in the match. His dribbling was insane and reminding me a lot of when Neymar's were doing skill moves. I don't see similarities with Messi, if I have to be honest. People try to compare him with Messi. I don't see it. But I do see the way lamineyamal has a really good agility where he knows how to change directions very quickly. And he does it, like, no matter how many times he does it, right? Even though you could read it, you can't stop it. It's one of those moves that you just can't stop Lamine when he goes to the side, feinting a lot, and then he ends up either crossing the ball or taking the shot himself. The goalie, by the way, in my opinion, this goalie was their best player out of everybody, and he had the highest rating, right? Besides Guedes, however you say his name. The goalie was insane. He saved, like, I think 2 brilliant shots by Lamine Yamal. He saved one of the headers by, I believe it was a header by somebody. I forgot who it was. And honestly, the game changer for Barcelona was Rashford when he got on. Rashford is really good coming off the bench. But anyways, let's go back to Raphinha. Now look, the one filling in his shoes is Olmo. There is nobody to fill in Raphinha's shoes on that left wing position, maybe besides Rashford. But the thing is that why was Rashford not starting? Maybe he was saving him for another game. Maybe Hansi Flick oversaw Real Sociedad, maybe, but this is the majority of the lineup. And Real Sociedad played a really good match. But Raphinha, honestly, the way his pressing is like no other in Barcelona. The way his finishing has been better than even the strikers, Ferran and Lewandowski, and even Lamine Yamal. Raphinha is a really good all-around forward that every single team wants on their team. Raphinha, for example, off the ball, he's pressing, he's defensive, he is aware of everything of his surroundings. There's no stopping that man. Whether he plays a full 90 minutes, 60 minutes, 40 minutes, he is always going to be that man who presses from beginning till the end. And that is what's missing from Barcelona. If you guys even focus in the beginning of the game, right, Barcelona had a lot of energy. They had a lot of energy in the first half and then a little bit in the second half, and then their energy started depleting. But then when you look at the second half, right, where their energy started going down and down, you could see, for example, Koundé, he started like he couldn't run anymore. Balde, for example, he still had the pace, but he couldn't like switch and run back and forth. And that is something that's very concerning about Hansi Flick's tactics and the way he's managing these players, is because they're playing with high intensity throughout the entire 90 minutes, or at the very least they try to play that full 90 minutes with high intensity. But at the same time, right, Barcelona players, every single player, they're humans. They're not robots. So obviously they're going to get tired. Obviously there's going to be some point in the match where they cannot keep up that pace that they had in the first minute. And this game, honestly, it showed it to me. And Real Sociedad, honestly, they did very well, and they stopped Barcelona from scoring, and they stopped Barcelona's countering. And like I said, luck was not on Barcelona's side. Every single bad thing that happened to anybody, it was happening to Barcelona. They were missing headers. They were missing easy shots, or that looked easy. They were missing their shots. The goalie had probably once in a lifetime performance this game. So, like I said, Barcelona played their game, and I think it's not like they played bad compared to Real Madrid, my club, that usually plays bad and expects to win. That's what I adore about Barcelona. Like I said, their high intensity. I love their high intensity, the way they keep the team, the opposing team, I can't even speak. They keep the opposing team at their pace, at their momentum. If Barcelona wants to play at that fast momentum, that team is going to follow that fast momentum. But if Barcelona wants to play slow, the team is going to play slow. There has not been a single team that, obviously in La Liga I'm speaking about, that outdoes Barcelona when it comes to momentum and when it comes to tenacity. Barcelona is very good at that. That's Hansi Flick's tactics, and you can see that's his mindset, where he wants them to keep chasing and never stopping. But there's a downside to that, and today's game showed the downside, besides the fact that they were missing Raphinha as well. But if we look at the table now, we have us at second place with only 1 point. So now it's going to be a back and forth between us and Barcelona, depending on who's going to win or lose the next match or draw. And let's be honest, Barcelona so far are going to be the favorites from now all the way until the end of the season. And Real Madrid are going to be 50-50 depending on our matchups. Like, for example, our next matchup is going to be Villarreal, if I am not mistaken. No, Monaco, but let me see the next match. What is going on? Our next match is going to be Monaco, but then it's going to be Villarreal, who are sitting third place. So let's talk about the Monaco game really quick, and let's look at the team's forms. But like I said, we are not that good. This game should boost our confidence and should give us a reason to keep chasing that first place in La Liga. But just having confidence and being in a race with Barcelona is not enough, especially this Barcelona team right now. But going up against Monaco, right, we have a couple of injuries. One of our best defenders this season, Militao, is injured. Our right back, who is supposed to be our regular starter, has been getting injured and injured and injured. And we have not been consistent, honestly. I think they brought back a couple of staffs that were good. They brought them back to the team, Real Madrid. I forgot their names. But I hope their physicality, I hope their fitness stays well, and I hope their health as well stays well, because we've been dealing with a lot of injuries, especially last season with our defensive lineup just all injured throughout the entire season. Monaco, they've won 2 of their last 5 games and lost 3, and that's a good sign for us because it shows they're not in form. And we also lost 2, which is against, teams that we were supposed to win, besides Barcelona, because they were heavy favorite. Or not heavy, but they were favorited. But let me just be very clear before I end this video. Even though, for example, like, this is the main difference between being a Barcelona fan and being a Real Madrid fan. If I was a Barcelona fan, I could say with confidence, our next game, we are going to dominate. We're going to win, whatever it may be. It's going to be positive, There's barely any, little worries, If there's any worries, it's something that makes sense. Maybe the team is going to be better than us that night. That makes sense, right? And it happens to the best of us. It happened to Barcelona today. But if I am a Real Madrid fan, which I am, I don't know if I'm going to win the next game or not. Against Monaco, I don't know if I'm going to win. You know why? Because we are so inconsistent. And we have players that don't even know or don't even play with passion. And you could tell. We have players who play with an ego. We have players who play like they're spoiled. Like they've already won a lot. And you guys know who the players are. So that is the main reason why I don't feel that confidence heading into this Champions League game against Monaco. Because, for example, any team that we go up against, they're hungry to beat Real Madrid. Like I said, it makes sense. Our standard is high, yes. For those who are trying to make an excuse, that's why Xabi Alonso got kicked out. So our standard is going to stay high, and that is the standard every team is trying to reach. And beating Real Madrid is a huge accomplishment for many, many, many clubs, especially a club like Monaco. So it's very important for us to be humble. When I say us, I'm saying like I'm part of Real Madrid's players, right? But it's important for our players to be humble, to listen to the manager, Arbeloa, if he's going to even call out any call-outs. I don't know what he does in training, but it's very important. It's very important for us to do this. Very important for us to listen to the manager, like we had Xabi Alonso. Important for us to be humble, to press, and whenever we lose the ball, we actually go back and try to win it back. You guys know who I'm talking about. We actually cannot slack. We cannot slack from here until the end of the season. We know in La Liga we're up against Barcelona, who's in top form, and in Champions League we're up against Arsenal, who beat us last season, Man City, who beat us just recently, PSG, who just beat us as well in the Club World Cup, Barcelona, who's still in there, Sporting. We have a lot of these clubs that are most likely going to be our matchups. So we have to be careful, but let me know what you guys think about this game against Barcelona and Real Sociedad. Do you think Barcelona deserved to win? What do you think about lamineyamal's performance, Pedri's performance, honestly? Pedri was doing good here and there, but not the best compared to the Pedri standards that he's at right now. So put it in the comments below and let me know what you guys think about Real Madrid and Monaco this upcoming Tuesday. Put your opinions in the comments below. Once again, leave a like if you did enjoy this video. And a lot of you guys are not subscribed, so make sure that you do subscribe. All right, it's free, and the notification as well is free, so make sure you also click the little bell. And until then, Assalamu alaikum.